Don't you think that you need to get involved in a conversation with Arias? Shouldn't you understand what is the process by which you're going to release this pressure on us? Because it is pressure on your share price. But at what point do you get involved and actually say, well, we need to be part of this solution? If you're watching this video, you're clearly interested in Sierra Metals. We talked today to their CEO and put questions to him sent by their investors, plus a few of our own. We talked to him about their strategy and how he's going to go about delivering it. In fact, why should investors invest in Sierra Metals at all? He goes through his finance packages, and as a bonus, we also discuss corporate structure. We give Igor the chance to explain the issues that he's facing with one of his major shareholders and what he's going to do about that. If you've got any thoughts or feedback, please put them in the comments below. We will get back to everyone. And if you can also click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to see more videos like this and be kept up to date, click the notification bell as well. So let's hear what Igor had to say. Hello, Igor. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Matthew. How are you?
Very, very well. Delighted to speak to you again. We spoke back in May when you told us your story. We want to kind of catch up and see how things are going. So why don't you kick off for people who've not heard this before with a 1-minute summary, and then we'll get into some questions.
Sure, Matthew. Sierra Metals is a polymetallic producer that operates in two jurisdictions, Mexico and Peru. We have two operations in Mexico, the Bolivar mine, which is a copper, gold, silver play, and the Cusi mine, which is a silver play. It's our smallest mine. And then in Peru, we have the Yauricocha mine, which is produces all 5 metals. So we are now in a process of expanding our company. So I would be glad to talk about it as we continue this interview.
Fantastic. So, well, let's talk about the projects, which we don't normally talk about them so quickly, but let's talk about what's going on in Peru, because that's a polymetallic operation, and then 2 Mexican mines there, copper and silver respectively, with some other derivatives. So tell us what's going on in Peru, first of all.
Okay, in Peru, given the fact that we have an older mine that has been operating for 70 years, we need to keep on top of the infrastructure upgrades. And therefore, we have 5 ongoing projects now in Yauricocha. The main project is the shaft upgrade, the Yauricocha shaft. This is a brand new shaft that we're building from scratch. And we're in the 3rd year of construction, and we have 1.5 years to go. However, we're going to be implementing portions of the project as they become available. Then, which is completed, the Yauricocha tunnel, which connects the entire mine facilities with the processing facility. That's now up and running and operating. Then we have all the ventilation upgrades that we're doing, and that work is continuing as we speak. We also have the tailings dam phase 5 upgrade. We obtained the permits, and now we're in a full construction mode, which should finish the main dam for phase 5 in sometime in September of this year, and then we also have a new mess hall and camp refurbishing project, which is ongoing and will finish in the 2nd quarter of next year.
Let's get into Mexico. What's happening there?
Mexico, we completed 2 expansion projects. One in the Bolivar mine, which initially was conceptualized to go from 3,000 to 3,600. We then added some additional capital spend, and now we have completed all the construction of that expansion, and we are in the final phases of the ramp up, both the mine and the plant. And I'm happy to report that as of Q2, we have averaged 3,700 tons per day, which is above the initial target, and we continue our ramp up towards 4,000. in Q3, and we would like to take that ramp up to 4250 in the fourth quarter of this year. So that ramp up is going well. We achieved the intended initial capacity, and then we continue the ramp as we go. Then on our next mine, in the Cusi mine in Chihuahua, that mine, we increased its capacity from 600 tons to 1,200 tons, 100% increase in capacity. And we have completed most of the construction. We still have a few things that we're finishing up, but we have struggles with the ramp up, both at the mine and at the plant. However, we continue to increase the throughput. We're now approaching 1,000 tons per day, which we're getting closer to the 1,200, and we're trying to get to 1,200 by the end of Q3 of this year.
Right. Okay.
So those are our two expansion projects.
Fantastic. So if you don't mind, can we just talk now about the finances? Because when we talked last time, you were talking about an $83 million program, investing $83 million into the company. And I think you may have covered some of those, or we'll cover some of those things today. But let's just understand where the finances are today. You've got a market cap of, $290 million, NPV $500 million. Those are some good strong numbers, but you've got some debt in there as well. You're self-funding on the capital expansion program. So can you just kind of run through some of the numbers for us, please?
Well, I will talk about the debt. We had a loan from Banco de Crédito of Peru this year at the end of Q1 for $100 million. And that allowed us to pay a remaining $34 million in the purchase that we did in Yauricocha, which was another loan that we had outstanding. And we also pay a revolving credit of $15 million. And we will have some $30 million of funds for additional expansions or the use we would like to give it. So we have reconfigured our debt profile. Right now, our net debt is about $59 million total.
Right.
And now going to our performance for this second quarter, we had a revenue of about $52 million, and about $13 million in operating cash flow. That allows us to still fund our capital requirements and, of course, all of our operating costs. This is a year of heavy capital investment for us. We initially budgeted for $83 million. We've had a strike in Yauricocha, and that forced us to defer some of the capital into 2020. However, we still remain with the same projects, and also as I just mentioned, we completed the capital spend in Bolivar, and we are completing the capital spend in Cusi. So it's going to be a very, very fruitful year for us once we are done with all the capital investments.
Right. Okay. We've spoken before. I feel that you know what you're doing. Your team knows what they're doing. It's a very well run, safe, and to use a word that you've used in your presentation, it's a very robust operation. But I'm not excited by it. And I want to know, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? Because you're producing free cash flow. You've got revenue. You're in production. All the right parts are there. So what should I be looking forward to?
I think we're not also happy with the current share price. We think we're undervalued, and
why?
We're trying to we think that we don't have enough float in the market in our share. We have a main shareholder withholds 50%, Arias Resource Fund. Inside of that 53%, he holds two funds, and he's trying to resolve Fund 1, which he is committed to do so. And I think that's part of the equation here. And so when this fund gets resolved, I think the float is going to go to normal levels, and that's going to help our share price.
Well, there's a couple of things going on there. 52%. How much does Fund 1 own?
Fund 1 owns roughly 30%, and the Fund 2 about 23%. Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot of shares. That's a lot of shares to come into the marketplace, which is great for potential liquidity, but it's also a problem for him. How quickly does he need to sell these into the market?
Well, I don't have that information because we don't manage the fund, and Arias Capital has all that information.
Okay, but they are not obliged to tell you how they're going to manage that into the marketplace, because that would seemingly.
I know they're doing some movements to try to resolve that, and they have invited third parties to review our operations and see if they can commit to packages. But that's as far as I can tell.
Because that's going to be holding the stock back, because people know that's coming.
Yeah. They've been inviting parties to look at our operations. We've entertained their visits and so forth. So I think this is a moving process.
Okay, it's a moving process, which is affecting your ability to create shareholder value today. So I guess all you can focus on is delivering on the mining side, the production, the enhancements.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's for us is extremely important, not to lose focus of what we are here to do, which is our long-term strategy. We need to continue to add value to our units and to create value for our shareholders, independent of who holds our shares. So I think that focus needs to remain, and we are doing that. We're delivering on the expansions. We will do another expansion in Peru. We're now doing all the permitting work. So we continue to drive our strategy forward to grow the company.
I mean, I feel that must be like trying to do your job with one hand tied behind your back, because you've got a significant shareholder restricting your ability to create value for shareholders in the marketplace. So you are having to focus on mining, which is good. It's what you're good at, and I fully trust that you're good at it from what I see. Do you regret doing that deal with Arias?
No, the Arias had the ownership of the shares for quite some time now. I entered the company after all the shares were in place. So all I have to focus is on trying to grow the company myself, and not be sidetracked by what the activities of the shareholders do. Yeah.
Right. I guess it's a kind of salutary lesson in terms of how share structures are set up and ownership structures are set up, because it can restrict a company's ability to perform as it should. Because I would argue that on your fundamental numbers, your shares shouldn't have done what they've done in the last year. They should be heading the opposite direction. So I guess, what's your message to shareholders on this topic?
I think our main message to shareholders is we're staying the course. We're creating value. We're showing the numbers. We're reducing our costs. We're increasing our production throughput and recoveries. And so we have all the main elements that create value in a company, and they are in place. So we will continue to do that and remain focused on that aspect of the business.
I mean, I don't think this is what I'm about to say is any comfort to your existing shareholders, but for new shareholders coming in, it would seem that this is a very interesting proposition, and I don't expect you to comment on that. You'll get yourself into trouble. But
I think the potential, once for example, the metal prices recover, the potential for our shares to improve are quite significant.
So it's a question of time. When Arias sorts out Fund 1 or one of their two funds and gets these block sales away, then your arm will no longer be tied behind your back, as it were. You feel that the market should recognize what you have been doing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe that once we have the right vote and the market will start recognizing and the value of Sierra as they should.
Okay. So do you mind if we just talk about strategy? What's your thinking in terms of building this business? I know you could say you're mitigating jurisdictional risk because you're in two countries. You're underground mining, so that's what you know, that's what you're good at. And you're obviously in production, which is all good. But what is it that you've set out to build, and what will this company look like in 12, 24 months time?
A fundamental element of our strategy is exploration, brownfield exploration for one, and in the second phase is greenfield exploration. We've been putting important resources in both areas. We've been growing the resource of all our three mines steadily over the last 3 years, and we continue to do so. As a matter of fact, we will have two new 43-101s for Bolivar and Yauricocha by year end in 2019, and another 43-101 in the second quarter of 2020 for the Cusi mine. Right. We continue to do brownfield, infill drilling also in all three mines. But in Bolivar and Yauricocha, besides the brownfield, we're also doing some greenfield exploration close by the operation. And in Yauricocha, for example, we have high value targets for this year. We're already drilling with two platforms. And in Bolivar, we're also doing some near mine exploration, but these are brand new targets, and we continue to expand our resource. So I think that's one of the key elements for our growth. Is it to find additional resources, then turn these resources into a reportable resource via 43-101s, and then conduct expansions that we require accordingly. So exploration for us is the fundamental foundation of our strategy.
Right. So those are a bunch of things that you're going to do. Build up the resource and reportable resource. But to what end? I mean, I'd like to say, what's the strategy? Not what's the deliverables. What's the strategy? You are going to drill holes to build a company of a resource of what size and for what purpose? Are you going to mine it yourself? Are you going to sell it? What's the game here? What investors need to know?
Well, it will be hard for me to tell right now what are we going to find via exploration. However, we're open in doing joint ventures or bringing new partners if our exploration results deliver significant or even significant results. So I think we keep ourselves open. We keep analyzing other properties, other projects that come by, and we're open to growing the company also via that avenue, which is associating with other enterprises.
Right. Okay. But you can't say to what end. You can't say what you're trying to be. If someone said, what is Sierra Metals? What are they trying to be? What's your answer?
We would like to be a second quartile producer in terms of volume of production. And right now we're in the third quartile, and our target would be to be in the second quartile, in the top of the second quartile of production with all the other silver producers. That's our target.
Okay. Well, can we just sort of finish off on, because I'm looking at page 28 of your presentation, your PowerPoint, and it says reasons to invest in Sierra Metals. And I want your help here, because as I say, I think, you know, the fundamentals of your company are good. What I'm struggling with is to understand why I should be investing in your business. You know, so you talk in here about track record, robust performances, strong capitalization, low net leverage, robust liquidity. What do all these things mean? If you were talking to me, you know, face to face, what would you be saying to me? Why should I invest in your company and not, you know, the 50 other South American businesses doing the same thing? I mean, what have you got?
I think what we've got is a business that it's generating cash, for one. We're operating in two countries that are very supportive to mining, where we have all the resources available to do our jobs in terms of contractors, people, services, and legislation, and tax and tax stability. We also would like to point out that the potential of our properties is very significant given their location within the countries where we operate. In the case of the Yauricocha mine, it's located in a major fault system where north and south you have very large deposits, and so the likelihood of finding significant additional resources is important.
Right.
Likewise, in Mexico, in the Bolivar mine, we are in a location where it's a mining jurisdiction with huge potential for growth. So that's another part that is very appealing to our story. We're not just in one mine and trying to develop one mine and that's it. I think we can grow these mines into something much bigger. We don't have the results yet, but all the geological information that we have to date indicates that we are in a very fertile zones. Our track record, if you analyze Sierra 5 years and Sierra today, we've increased our throughputs and our production, our cash flow generation tremendously. We at 5 years ago we were probably in Yauricocha around couple thousand tons. In Mexico, we were at 800 tons. Today, we're at 4,000 tons. So we've improved our capacity to generate cash via production in a significant way. So that's our track record of creating value for our investors via the improvement. Now. In the meantime, we also have generated the cash flow. We've been trying to manage our debt. We have a solid financial position. We have $40 million in cash as we speak. We have a $59 million in debt. And as we finish all our expansion projects, our ability to generate cash is going to be even greater than what it is today. So, and then going to the perhaps at the end, but to the most important element of our base is the people. We have been able to attract talented and experienced people into our team. We operate with 3 mines, and the mines have their individual staffs, but we also have a senior team at the corporate office that provides technical support to our operations in projects, in metallurgy, in planning, and very soon in maintenance and asset management. So with that oversight and support to our operations, we bring the experience at the head office that can be utilized in the different operations without interfering with their work, but reviewing their plans, improving our plans. And so I think that part of the business is also has been reinforced in such a way that we brought very talented individuals into our company.
Okay, I buy a lot of that. Jurisdictional risk, these are good mining jurisdictions. Well, we'll see what the drilling reveals. But if I look at the cash, the cash position is great. Having $40 million in the bank is fantastic. Having free cash flow, fantastic. But you're still paralyzed in a way, in that shareholders make money when your shares increase. Don't you think that you need to get involved in a conversation with Arias? And rather than them just sending people through to check diligence your mine, shouldn't you understand what is the process by which you're going to release this pressure on us? Because it is pressure on your share price. But at what point do you get involved and actually say, well, we need to be part of this solution?
Well, we review this situation with the board on a regular basis, and we have a share buyback program for one. We had an ATM in place for another, and of course we, as I mentioned earlier, Arias Resources Capital is moving is trying to deliver on what. On their fund number 1, and therefore they are trying to resolve that issue, and we're all aware of that. So in the meantime, we have to stay focused on what we're doing, but we don't have control of what the Arias Resource Fund does with these shares.
Right. Now, I appreciate you don't run their fund, but I was just saying they should, as a matter of courtesy and I think expediency, work with you to agree and resolve the way forward if they need to exit.
And we're cooperating. They're bringing parties for review, etc., and we're cooperating with that. We have a data room, an active data room that they can go and see our company, and they can analyze the potentiality of our business.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that you've got a great company. I think you've got a great team. I really like the way you talk about your business. I think there's this pressure with Arias which needs to go away, but when it does, I would like to think that your shares will give the chance to breathe again and maybe start moving in the right direction. So Igor, I thank you very much for your time today and your explanation. You've been very honest as always. So thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also catch us on our website, cruxinvestor.com, and Cruxcast, our podcast series. Plus, most days you can catch us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We'd love getting your feedback, so please keep that coming, and we'll speak to you again soon.